Kahalaya Bashima Shah, Bashima Kwakadash, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, as well as the sincere Akim, doing the work of Yabashima Shah with all diligence and faith. Yeah, just got to another brief video to edify the sincere Akim, because you understand that we're in the time of World War III, heating up tremendously. So it's gonna happen. There's nothing else I could say beyond that, man. So all the prophecies of Yahweh Shimei Shai coming to the forefront, and it's gonna be terrible times, man. So I got this video here. Here's the so-called former defense secretary during the time of Clinton. Says last name is Perry. So I'm just gonna play the video. Talk about preparations for nuclear war, and other little aspects of it.
Since the dawn of the nuclear age of the 1940s, global stability has rested on a certain set of assumptions. Most of the world's nuclear capability was split between the US and Russia, and the umbrella of American protection meant that its allies didn't have to develop nukes of their own. That appears to be changing. President Trump has famously been less hawkish about standing up to Russia. Now the European Union is reportedly considering a nuclear deterrent of its own and sharing France's weapons between member countries. The situation in Asia is even more unsettled. North Korea is fanatically pursuing its own arsenal of nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles. On Monday, it test-launched 4 of the rockets into the ocean, just 200 miles shy of Japan. And the American president has unconventional ideas about how Japan should prepare.
North Korea has nukes. Japan has a problem with that. I mean, they have a big problem with it. Maybe they would, in fact, be better off if they defend themselves from North Korea. Maybe we would be better off, including with nukes, yes.
All of this has experts worried about an era of renewed nuclear threat, from jittery states and rogue actors who might seize on the instability. Among those sounding the alarm is William Perry, who served as Secretary of Defense under President Clinton.
Yeah, see, they don't call him Dr. Doom for nothing, So for him to be a so-called, former defense secretary means, he's got the balls to do certain things, man. Because certain positions like that, man, it's not for regular folks, man. It's got to be someone that could go through with whatever needs to be done according to the will of the elites, man. Because they don't. It's not as if they volunteer for the position. They get handpicked. They say, well, this is what you're gonna do. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. They gotta follow through. So that's where the elite role, man. All that I'm sorry, I can't do this, I can't do that. That's grounds for termination, man. So World War III, it's already warming up. It's gonna get very heated, and then you have all these so-called talks among the elites, man. How they're gonna move forward. But at the end of the day, man, it's gonna be so bad.
Bill Perry has spent most of his life watching the world prepare for nuclear war, and he thinks we aren't nearly as scared as we should be.
I think the professionals in the field have a pretty good understanding of the impact of the use of nuclear weapons. But the general public certainly does not, and many of our leaders do not.
Perry's 89 years old. He lectures at Stanford, launched an online seminar last year, and travels the world 2 or 3 months a year to talk about how close we've come to catastrophe and how close we still are. He often talks about his nightmare scenario, where a small amount of enriched uranium ends up in the hands of a terrorist group.
If they had maybe 40 kilograms, they could make an improvised nuclear bomb.
But what would be the consequences?
The consequences of a 15-kiloton bomb would be Hiroshima. And besides the 80,000, 100,000 casualties, the social, the political, and the economic consequences are just really hard to believe.
How realistic is this, though? Isn't this just some sci-fi fantasy fear?
I think of all of the...
It's not sci-fi, it's the word of Yabashimi Shai coming to pass. The elites did not have scientists, get funding to build toys, man. Those nuclear weapons were built to be used. They've tested them. you know, times and times again. So they keep on, finding a better way to have an effective blast, man. They want good weapons, weapons that could take out the enemies real quick, that could break the will of the military of their opponents.
Nuclear catastrophes that could happen, this is the most probable. I would say it's probably an even chance this will happen sometime in the next 10 years.
Yeah. So it's not even probability.
An even chance.
It's going to
Even
happen.
chance. Sometime in the next 10 years.
You may desperately want to dismiss Perry as an alarmist, but he's a renowned expert, often called upon by world leaders. I met him in Mexico City, where he was attending the celebration of a 50-year-old nuclear ban treaty and running a closed-door planning meeting for top nuclear proliferation experts from around the world, known as the Group of Eminent Persons. They made us turn off the camera. The truth is...
Yeah, so, Esau received that blessing from the Most High. You could read Genesis, the 25th chapter, the genesis of the Edomite nation as well as the genesis of Israel. And then you just pay attention to his blessings, man. Esau, the so-called white man, also known as Edom in the Bible, they've been blessed with that technology to bring on mass destruction. So that's how the Most High has planned it out, and I'll bring out some precept to shed some light on it. To this book of Revelation, chapter 11, and I'm going to read verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, so World War III is going to happen. This is how the Most High has ordained it to be, and it's going to be so bad, before those nuclear weapons are shot, man, from the different ends of the earth. America's got nuclear weapons. In fact, NATO's got nuclear weapons. China's got it. Pakistan, Iran, Israel, Japan, China. They've got something, So it's going to be used. Russia's going to fire weapons too. So it's going to be so bad. Scripture talks about the world. The whole earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. The shock wave, the blasts, it's going to cause so much chaos on earth. So this is how the Most High ordained it to be, man, because all that troops on the ground is not going to do it for the elites, man. They're going to be so pissed off at one another that they'll have those nuclear missiles launched, man. But at the end of the day, man, America is going to be wiped off the face of the earth. And it's a prophecy, right? So this is Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Alright, so this is how it's going to go down, man. Those nuclear missiles are going to be shot. They're going to be activated, they're going to come out from the silos, and before you know it,
The chance of a nuclear war is not what it once was. In the late 80s, there were 70,000 nukes around the world. Today, there are only about 15,000. But Perry's not comforted by better odds.
We have the possibility of a regional nuclear war between Pakistan and India, for example. Even if they use only half of their nuclear arsenal, those bombs would put enough smoke in the air and enough dust in the air that would go up and settle in the stratosphere, then distribute itself around the planet, would block the rays of the sun for years to come. There are going to be millions of people die from that alone.
That's a horrific vision. Does it keep you up at night?
The one that really keeps me up at night is the one which is not as probable, and that is that somehow Russia and the United States blunder into a nuclear war. An all-out general nuclear war between the United States and Russia would mean no less than the end of civilization. That's not being dramatic, that's not being...
Well, That's the end of the Edomite civilization. That's how the Most High has scripted it to happen. The elites know it. They read through the scriptures. They have their scholars dig through all the artifacts. The so-called Jesuits know about the scriptures of the Most High. They got records of it. They got ancient records, and they're upset. That the Israelites are waking up. The prophets of the Most High are already back in the reincarnation, which is now. And then, they're out there on the highways and byways making lessons to identify the sincere Akim, prophesying against the kingdoms of this world, letting the elites of this world know that their rulership is coming to an end, whether they be Edomites, Hamites, Ishmaelites, Moabites, Japhet, even two-thirds of our own people that sold out, that they're going to reap a destruction, that the Most High is going to yank away their power to rule upon the face of the earth.
Hyperbolic, that's just what would happen.
Today, Russia and the U.S. have 90% of the world's remaining.
All right, you could see that, man. You could see what we're talking about. So it's messed up. It's hard to even tell where all these nuclear missiles are stored. You don't know what's beneath these oceans. You don't know what's in South America, Africa, Australia, even the Arctic regions. You don't even know where these nuclear missiles have been stored across the face of the earth. You don't know. There might be a nuclear silo in your backyard. So it's terrible times we're coming into.
Nukes, many of them old and prone to error and false alarm. And they're in the hands of leaders who Perry sees as having cavalier attitudes about their potential. Are there things you see with President Trump that concern you?
Yes. I think, unlike President Obama, he doesn't have a clear understanding of what the nuclear issues are and what the nuclear dangers are. Secondly, I think he's demonstrated an impulsive temperament. The first of them is solvable. We can learn more if he cares to do it.
Nah, you could tell, man, he knows exactly what the shit's all about, man. Because he knows the presidency just being puppets. He knows he's a puppet himself, that he has to go according to the instructions, that the elite have laid down. These Amalekites, they pull the strings of NATO, America, England, France, Britain. Well, it's no need to mention England and Britain twice, but that's the way it works, man. Even the Saudi Arabians too, man. Amalek runs the show. Even in Russia, they have all their agents everywhere. So that's how the Most High has set up these Amalekites, man. Because the scripture talks about the Amalekites will be the least of the flock to cause this spark to happen, and it's gonna be so tremendous of a disaster. All right. So this is the book of Mark, chapter 13. I'm gonna read verse 20, and it says, I'll start from verse 19. For in those days shall be affliction such as was not from the beginning of the creation which the Most High created unto this time, neither shall be, and except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, whom he had chosen, he had shortened the days. So meaning, hey, the hell that's coming upon the face of the earth, through the hands of these Edomites with their Ww3s and their collapse of the economy, is going to be very brief. That's what I'm going to title this video, that Ww3 will be brief. Because the Most High is going to shorten the rulership of these elites, of the Edomites and their partners across the world, whether they're elites on the western side or on the eastern side. The Most High is cutting it short. It's time for Yahushai to rule in righteousness. All right, and then this is gonna be the last precept I'll bring. So this is Isaiah chapter 34. I'm just gonna read a couple of verses. So this is Isaiah 34 verse 1. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, you people. Let the earth hear, and all that dwell, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. Okay? For the indignation of the Lord Yahweh is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He had utterly destroyed them. He had delivered them to the slaughter. So when those nuclear missiles are launched, man, lots of armies will be devastated, man. It's going to be so much of a destruction, you know. And then verse 3 says, their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses. And the mountains shall be melted with their blood, and the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. So those nuclear missiles are going to be launched, multiple war fronts, man, multiple theaters. And then it's not going to be some so-called terrorist organization that will get access to nuclear material, and then all of a sudden they set up a deadly bomb. This one's talking about nations going against each other. All right. So, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, and the leaf, as the leaf falleth from the vine, and as a fallen fig from the fig tree. All right. So if you read verse 5, it says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So, America is going to be wiped out, man. NATO is going to be done away with, when this nuclear war is wrapped up. The angels of the Most High will intervene to deliver, the elect of the nation of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans throughout the four corners of the earth. The 1/3 here in America will be delivered. So it's going to be a beautiful time. And those that survive the nuclear blasts that of the nation of Israel, they have that mixed multitude. You hear of in the book of Revelation coming out from the different regions of the earth that survived the nuclear holocaust. And it's going to be so beautiful that Yahweh Shema Shai is going to make the world a better place to live in, man, because under the rulership of these Edomites is being so messed up. All right, so they at least have their bunkers, they have their so-called consolation, but they know they're going to captivity. They don't want to talk much about it, but they know. So that's why the elect of the Most High have to be out there on the highways and byways, bringing this knowledge to the people that need to hear it, which is the elect.
Temperament issue, I'm afraid, is just there.
And that's why, at the age of almost 90, you're here in Mexico City and not on a golf course.
Exactly right. One person can only do so much, and I think I can do more than most.
You can scare us better than most.
I can scare you. And you deserve to be scared.
Yep, so that's how bad it's gonna get, man. You can imagine, man, so-called Indians and Pakistanis launching those missiles. We're like, what the hell is going on? But hey, it's all prophecy. It's gonna happen, and all that keeping things under lock and key, hiding of nuclear launch codes. The Mossad decides he's gonna launch them without the authorization of the soldiers that's manning those nuclear silos, nuclear facilities. Hey, it's gonna happen because nothing can come against the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So, Kahala Yahweh Shem Yahushua Ba'Hashem Rakwakadash, that honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, Sisi Akim, doing the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua with all diligence. Stay faithful, stay humble. Keep on pushing, man. We're almost out of here. Have faith unto the end, man. You're gonna catch hell, but nonetheless, it's our calling to do as Yahweh Shema Shai has called us to do. Lord willing, we have his chosen. Shalom.